Welcome back to the Burner Turner Show. Um, got another great episode. Josh Harrellson is going to tell some great Billy Gillispie stories. So make sure you subscribe to the Field of 68 and join into that conversation. But before we get into that, we're going to talk a little bit about the current Kentucky basketball team. And today I have a good friend, Jeff Goodman, in to discuss that with me.
Wayne, you know Kentucky fans love me, right? They absolutely love me. So they're probably going to turn this off right now. But listen, I actually do feel for this Kentucky team. And I know Kentucky fans may not believe me, but I do, because these are young guys that have not had it easy this year, from the standpoint of a lot of expectations. And I think they're good kids. Like, I really like Brandon Boston as a kid. And I can't understand, Wayne, why he hasn't been able to get it going. Like Devin Askew, he reclassified. I get that. That's hard to do when you're supposed to be your senior year of high school, and now you're the starting point guard at Kentucky. Brandon Boston is the one I just can't figure out. I think he's talented, and I think the biggest problem with him right now is the mental aspect. It's not the physical aspect. It's he's questioning himself for the first time in his career.
I think so too, and it's another level. And I think when you come into a big college basketball program like a Kentucky, you definitely have to be mentally prepared, because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of adversity that happens throughout the season within the team, outside the team, and obviously the most important part is being inside the team. And I think you know when you're the star coming out of high school, and I've been in this position before, it's hard to accept that there's other stars on the team with you sometimes, because you lose a little bit of that limelight in the beginning. And that's just maturity. I mean, and immaturity takes a toll on younger guys like that, especially when adversity hits. Brandon Boston happens to be one of my favorite freshmen. I think you're right. He's someone who's definitely who hasn't showed his best performance. I think that he's putting a lot of pressure on himself, because the next level is talks. A lot of times when there's talks about the next level, you start to forget about what you're doing now and you worry about the future. And you set yourself up for failure when you do that. You have to take care of the now and then worry about the future later. And I think that's what he needs to focus a lot more on and help his team win. All the things he needs to do to help his team win is what he should be focusing on right now, not the NBA.
So they're 4-8 right now in the NCAA tournament. At large berth looks slim to none at this point. I've gotten emails, which I normally don't get a ton of these, from Kentucky fans. And there's a frustration now growing, I believe, within the Kentucky community about Cal and the fact that he prioritizes, or they feel like he prioritizes, getting guys to the league over winning basketball games and winning championships. Because when you're a Kentucky fan, what do you want? You want to win. You want to get to a Final Four. You want to win a national title. That is the goal every single year. And the great thing with Cal is every year they feel like they have a chance to accomplish that, right? They did it once. They've been to multiple Final Fours, championship games. But now I think there's this growing frustration that Cal would rather have a player drafted number one than win a national title. Do you sense that within Kentucky? That again, I think he'd love both, obviously. But yes, I think he loves the fact of putting these guys in the NBA, and he can sell that to get other players. It's helped him, obviously, recruiting wise.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you can definitely, I mean, a kid is going to go to school where they're producing pros. And obviously, Kentucky has done that over the years, especially when Cal's been there. Kentucky's done that when I went to school there, but now it's happening at a rapid rate. And, there's some sort of sense of, okay, well, you can stay an extra year, but we got this next class coming in.
Right.
And that's become the norm at Kentucky, is where if you go there just expect to be recruited over. And I think, kids, I almost sense that they have that idea, or they probably won before they even signed to go to Kentucky. That's just my feeling. I could be wrong, because I see kids leaving sometimes that probably should stay an extra year. So, and I wonder why not stay an extra year if you're not ready to make that jump just yet. Like, why be a second round pick when the goal is always to be a first round pick? I mean,
I guess, Wayne, it's twofold, right? Like, number one is they feel like, well, my stock's already dropped. I don't want to stick around. It could, like Brandon Boston is a good example. I was talking to somebody about this recently, and I said Brandon Boston should come back for another year for sure. Unless something major changes here, he needs to come back. And they said to me, well, you know what? He's still a first round pick today. And if he comes back and he has a sophomore year like his freshman year, nobody's drafting him. And they're right. Like, it is a dilemma for a kid like Brandon Boston, who came in with all this hype, who looks the part, who, if you put him in a workout and he makes shots, let's face it, you're probably taking him in the first round somewhere, maybe even in the teens. So it is a dilemma. And then the other part of it is, listen, if you're good enough, you're gone after a year. If you're not good enough and you stick around, like you said, there's a reason, right? If you're sticking around, there's a reason. Generally, you're probably not good enough. Now, again, some guys like Nick Richards got better and bought in and quickly, but a lot of them, if like Terrence Clark, if he comes back again, maybe somebody else takes his minutes, and then he goes from a guy that was, in his mind, on the mock drafts, same thing with Brandon Boston, a lottery pick, to somebody that's fallen out and doesn't even get a guaranteed contract. It's a tough one.
That is, because it's your future, and
Right.
it's it's your basketball career, something you've worked at your whole life, and that's a decision that you know um, I think you make with the coaching staff. You sit down with the staff, your family, and you make that decision. The best you can for yourself. Um, you know, I, I honestly think that Brandon Boston will turn it around. I feel like he's the type of player, he has that ability to where skill wise anyway, and just potential wise, athleticism. Like, I think that he can definitely be someone, if he could turn it around, the team turns around.
Yes, I agree with that. I agree. I've been saying that all year. Like, if they have to have a wing scorer, not just a shooter, but they need a wing scorer. And Brandon Boston is that guy to me more than anybody. But I mean, you look at the numbers and it's like he's shooting 18% from three. 18. I thought he'd be their best shooter. Maybe Mintz, just because Mintz has been in college long enough. Can they turn it around? I think they can, Wayne, because I think the SEC can help them in that regard. I don't think the SEC is that difficult. You got some easy wins in there too. Now, nothing's been easy for Kentucky this year. I mean, Mississippi State was tough. Vandy wasn't that easy. They're all going to be grinders because they can't score right now. Like, that's the problem. Their defense is pretty good, but they can't score the ball. And it's no wing scores. Your point guard is gotten better in Askew, but he's not there. He's not even close. He'll come back. I think Devin Askew is going to have a good career in Lexington if people are patient with him. And, listen, Kentucky fans not known for their patience. They're not, and they can eat you up. And I hope the fan base is at least aware of, like, these are young kids. When you were a freshman, Wayne, like, how hard was it with the pressure that was put on you, coming from Beaver Country Day here in Massachusetts, where, let's face it, there was no pressure compared to when you went to Lexington. You thought there was, but there was none, correct?
I mean, it was a lot. I mean, I was supposed to be the point guard to come and be the point guard that Kentucky needed.
Right.
And, unfortunately, I wasn't that year. I wasn't the point guard that. Now, I was, I played a role, but I wasn't the point guard the 96 team needed. Anthony Epps was the guy, and that's why we won the championship.
Yep.
So yeah, it did. I did feel some pressure in the beginning, but once Anthony took that role over and I got to learn from him, and also Tony filled the role a little bit. Even Derek Anderson was tried at point guard for a little bit, and but
Did it take a weight off your shoulders? Did it take a weight off your shoulders to have those other guys so you didn't have? Because I feel like these guys all feel like they have the weight of the world on their shoulders. Boston, Terrence has been out, but all these, especially Brandon Boston, and probably ask you, both of them. And it's like they don't have enough dudes around them. You had dudes around you. So if you didn't produce, it wasn't all on you.
right, and that's true, and that really, really helped. I know for me and Ron Mercer, it definitely helped us a lot just to have guys around us. I mean, you think about, the new guys who came in with those guys, with the freshmen that transferred, the guys who transferred, they're still learning to know them at Kentucky. So it's hard for them to even tell those guys about the know them at Kentucky. They can tell them about college basketball,
Right.
but all college basketball is not the same when you're at Kentucky. It's just a little. It's very different there, and I could see that being a challenge for those guys. And you're right. I mean, it is. I did have a lot of help around me to, take that pressure off and feel comfortable with making a mistake and not, and not worrying about it affecting our team.
That's to me what. So I feel like these days, and I wonder if Cal's going to go this direction at all. I don't know if he will or not, but K has started at Duke to go in a direction, Wayne, of not going after as many one and dones. That's not to say he'll turn him down necessarily, but I think he understands, looking at Villanova over the last 5 years, looking at some of the other teams that have been successful, Gonzaga right now. Yeah, they got one freshman in Jalen Suggs, and they're by far the best team in the country today. Baylor's a close second. They have no freshmen, really, none, zero. I mean, all the teams that have been at the top of the sport in the last 5 years or so have been older. Now, with the new transfer rule, the one-time transfer rule, I think you're going to see Cal go heavy on that. I do. I think he's going to go heavy on transfers, and that's great. But like you said, the problem is those guys are a quick fix, and these guys, these two that came in, are 1 year fixes. So ultimately, I think you need more continuity in the program to be able to win at the highest level. You can get lucky with a freshman group. Anthony Davis and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, they were all about the right things. But I think so many of these freshmen come in and they've got to be deprogrammed in a way, because all they're thinking about is, okay, I got to get to the league. I got to get there this year. Everybody's telling me I got to get there. I'm on mock drafts, whatever. So I think the key for Kentucky and Cal is getting some of these 3 and 4 year players that are good enough, not too good to leave early, but good enough, and getting shooters. I can't understand why the elite programs, some of them, don't have big time shooters. And Kentucky's been the one that I feel like has had the fewest amount of just like spot up, just guys that can just knock them down.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned Anthony Davis because, and I'm not comparing these two, but people don't realize or remember that Anthony Davis was not a big time scorer when he was at Kentucky. He was
That's right.
a defensive guy.
Yep.
He played his role. He got alley-oop dunks, he ran the floor. All of his defense kind of transitioned over to him getting offensive plays because he played so great on defense. So I look at a guy like Isaiah Jackson, and
Yeah.
he fits that mold. I mean, I'm not, like, once again, I'm not saying he's Anthony Davis.
I like him, Wayne.
He changes your games defensively,
Yep.
and he's one that can catch alley-oop lobs, which is what we don't see a lot of in Kentucky basketball today. And if you look back, in the past, it was like Lob City.
Yep.
They were Lob City of the NCAA. So they have a lot of good pieces. It's just mending them together and then getting them to understand one common goal. And it's not the NBA right now; it's winning the national championship.
Well, the good thing, Wayne, is there's always the SEC tournament. So no matter how poorly they finish the regular season, and I think they'll get better. I do. I think they'll get better, but I agree with you. I think it really depends on Brandon Boston and whether he can get going, get his confidence, start to shoot it well, finish around the basket. You know, they got at Georgia, LSU at home, at Alabama. Alabama's on fire. LSU's talented. You know, they got to get the win against Georgia, and then they got to just start playing better and make it interesting and not give up. Fight, and show some mental toughness.
Well, here's what and people probably disagree, but here's what, the advice I would give Brandon Boston. Take a page out of Keldon Johnson's book. He's someone started out fiery on offense. Offense kind of went down a little bit. He went to other things. He started offensive rebounding. He started playing good defense. He started running the floor. It became a first-round draft pick. I mean, they didn't go very far in the tournament, unfortunately. They lost to North Carolina, I think. But he played the role that he needed to play for his team to succeed. After coming in, being one of the top guys. And I thought he did a great job of handling that. And it had to be tough. It looked tough. Yeah. I'm scoring. I'm the leading scorer. And then now I got to take a back seat and become a defender and do other things. And he did it well. And I just think that Brandon Boston can do other things other than trying to create his own shot to score the ball.
Well, listen, I appreciate you having me on. I can't wait to hear this Josh Harrellson interview. Like I've been dying. I want to hear the equipment van story. So I'm going to be tuned in for this Josh Harrelson story, and make sure everybody who's listening to this subscribe, Field of 68, subscribe to the Burner Turner podcast. Wayne does an unbelievable job wherever you listen to your pods, Spotify, iTunes, Stitcher, wherever it is. And let's get going with this Harrelson combo, right?
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. Josh is a great guy. Welcome back to the Burner Turner Show. Hope everybody had a great Martin Luther King weekend. Just want to say thank you to all the listeners who's been supporting the Burner Turner Show. Make sure you try to tune in every week for new guests. And this week, definitely have a special guest on the show. Before I get into that, just want to say thank you to you guys for supporting the show once again. Also want to say a big thank you to Martin Luther King. Hope everybody enjoyed their time off for that day. It was a very, very, very special time during that time for change. And Martin Luther King's always been a leader for me. So just wanted to give him a shout out. Today on the show, very, very special guest. I had the privilege of working with this young man. This young man came to Kentucky and was part of the 2011 Final Four team. Really was a big key into that team moving forward that year and reaching the Final Four. Unfortunately, fell to UConn, who actually went on and won the national championship. But very, very proud of this guy. Came a long way, very hard worker, very respectful guy as well. And just enjoyed working with him and glad to have him in today from Missouri, St. Charles, Missouri. One of my favorite guys, better known as Jorts, Josh Harrellson. What's going on with you today, brother? How you doing? I appreciate you coming on the show.
Hey, Bernie, man, I appreciate you having me, man. It's good to reconnect. It's been a little bit, but, it's good to see you again.
Definitely. I was thinking back, before we got on, to the time, when I came on staff and, you were there and a few other guys came in, newer guys came in. And I remember the journey you guys had, like yesterday, making it back to the Final Four and just to see you guys succeed, it was very, very special to me because the first time I had got back to Kentucky in a long time. and to get the opportunity to work with you guys was just amazing, man. But I always wanted to ask, I never got to ask you guys because I had that feeling for the first time as well, and you experienced it. What was it like for you coming back to Kentucky and seeing the fan base then? I mean, the whole year, you saw the fans, and even that was your senior year. So you got to see, enough of what the fans could be like, but you never experienced what it was like to get to a Final Four and the reaction of the fans. What did you think that was like?
Man, it was amazing. Like you said, especially the year after I came back, and I was privileged enough to do the Y at one of the games, and just all the love and support that I continue to receive, even to this day, I continue to receive from Twitter and Facebook, and whatever social media app people can reach out on. It never ceases to amaze me how amazing these fans are. From day one, they've supported me until my last day there, supported me. And now they still continue to support me over here in Japan. A lot of people, retweet stuff I tweet, or they'll like stuff, or they'll comment on stuff that I post. And, I still get love all the time. And, it's amazing that these people continue to show me love even 10 years after being out of Kentucky.
Definitely. And, I know.
Yeah.
You go to a Final Four. I mean, it is they don't forget Final Four teams. They don't forget champions. You guys also won the SEC championship that year as well, which was pretty huge. And I'm really glad you guys got to experience that moment, because I remember my first time. Man, I was like, wow, this is incredible. And that's when I realized how strong the Kentucky basketball fan base really was at that time. Now your story is interesting, because you were like a late bloomer. I mean, so in high school, what made you decide to play basketball?
Man, it was literally the first day of school, my freshman year. I went to the head coach football office, and the head basketball coach, the head football coach, and the freshman basketball coach all shared an office. And I went in there and I said, "Hey," to the head football coach, I was like, "Hey, is it too late to try out for football? I'm standing 6'3", 220 as a freshman." And he said, "It's too late. You missed the whole summer." So I was like, "Okay." So I turned around and walked out. I was like, "All right, thank you. Maybe next year." And I turned around and walked out. And later that day, I had the head basketball coach as a PE teacher. And he said, "Son, do you play basketball?" I said, "No, sir." He said, "You do now." and I mean, that's exactly how I started. Like, and that's how I started. And then he kind of took me under his wing, kind of like became like my, kind of like my dad almost for the next 4 years. And man, I just kind of blossomed.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing. That's an
Yeah.
amazing story. Wow. You got to write a book about that, bro. If you haven't already, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, you, after high school, so you play high school ball,
Yeah.
and then after high school, you make a stop at junior college.
Yeah. 1 year.
Now, what junior college was that?
I went to Southwestern Illinois Community College called SWIC. Yeah, I before my senior year, I committed to Western Illinois University, and my high school coach said the one thing he said, "Don't do is do not commit." And I'm 17, and man, I grew up poor, man, and they like, "Hey, we'll pay for your college, we'll do this, we'll do that," and I was like, "I'm in," like say less, like I'm getting a free education, I'm in here, and I had a really good senior year. I just kept getting better and better, and I was playing against guys like Alex Tice, who went to Florida. I was playing against Scott Suggs, who ended up going to Washington, and I'm like, I'm just as good as these guys. Why am I going to Southwestern Illinois? I mean, why am I going to Western Illinois, and these guys are going to Florida and Washington? I'm like, I'm just as good as these guys. Like, what am I doing? So I decommitted, and then I had to go 1 year JUCO to get my eligibility to transfer.
Oh, so it was eligibility. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
like
Oh, so you decommitted from Western Illinois.
yeah, I decommitted and they didn't release me, so I had to go 1 year to get that release letter of intent.
Oh, wow. Wow. How easy was that?
Oh, it was actually really difficult because I mean,
That was sarcastic. That was
yeah,
sarcastic.
Yeah, I was, Coach Thomas, who was the coach at the time. He did a great job recruiting me, and I guess he saw the diamond in the rough. He saw what a lot of people didn't see, and he was like, "Hey, like this guy's my ticket. Like he's gonna come here. We're gonna have a good year. He's gonna carry us." And I might have did that. Who knows what would have happened if I went to Western Illinois? Like I don't know what would have happened. And once I decommitted, he kind of like he didn't want to release me because obviously, like I kind of screwed him in a way, which I understand. But at the end of the day, like basketball is a business, and for me, I just want to get the best education, the best place to play as I could.
No, I feel you. In my day, decommitting was like, almost like fraud.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I
That's
felt, man,
that's
I
how
felt
coaches
terrible.
made you feel. It was like your
Yeah.
loyalty kind of went out the window a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
But I could understand it. I mean, it's very common nowadays, guys commit and they decommit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess like you just said, it's basketball business. You can't
Yeah.
take it personal. That's that man's life. So he's the one
Yeah.
that gotta live it. So,
Exactly.
and I think you made the right decision.
Yeah. I do too.
So after junior, you decommit from Western Illinois. How does Gillespie get in the picture? Where did he come from?
Actually, Coach Cox saw me playing in a tournament when I was at Swick, and we were playing a tournament. I had a great tournament. I might have been all tournament team or something, and they kind of came on really heavy after that tournament, recruiting me wise, and coming. Man, they would come to Southwestern Illinois, which is in Belleville, Illinois, about 5 hours from Lexington. Man, they would come there like every once a week, every 2 weeks to come watch me and just recruit me. And they were on me hard. They literally just threw everything in. And I just, I bought in. And I mean, to be honest, I really didn't know much about Kentucky, like, because like I was a late bloomer playing basketball. I didn't know nothing about basketball. I didn't know. I think I started watching basketball in 2005, 2006. So like, I didn't know much about Kentucky tradition. So like, I didn't know Kentucky was what it was until I got there. Until I started actually being recruited and seeing the tradition.
And so so why was it Kentucky then? What made you make that decision to go there?
Man, the fans, man, the fans are the best recruiting tool Kentucky has. I mean, they're persistent, they're loyal, they're loving, and man, they're just they showed me so much love and support from the day they heard my name, to the last time my name got called on the court, and they were the reason I went there. Letters and messages and people writing me come to Kentucky and just reading letter boards and message boards, and like it was insane.
No, I definitely know the feeling.
Yeah.
It's probably double for you. It's my time, that social media and things weren't, that the internet wasn't so popular at the time. But
Yeah.
I will share this with you. I do remember on my visit going, and I was in the bathroom at Rafferty's, and I
Uh-huh.
remember they had this big article on Roger Rhodes. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a college basketball player. And then in the corner, it had just a little note about me visiting Kentucky. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. So I
Yeah.
definitely can understand how the fans can make an impact. And while we're talking about the fans, like, I mean, just explain, because honestly, and I know you hadn't saw any games this year, but honestly, I think that these guys are definitely getting a raw deal. I know the whole country is, as far as college basketball, but like you just said, I mean, Kentucky fans are like I mean, they're one of a. I mean, they can't. Everybody's fan base is not like that.
Yeah.
Can you just explain how much the fans, like during the game, how much they would just motivate you to play harder? I mean, explain that feeling of just playing in Rupp Arena and the fan base
Oh
and
man,
how
it's
you
it's
felt.
yeah, it's unexplainable. I mean, I played in a lot of places. I played at the Garden. I played at the Garden against Kobe. Like I played. I played when Miami was stacked against all these good teams. You know, like I played at a lot of great places, and you know, nothing compares to Rupp, man. You walk in, there's 24,000 people in blue. It's literally blue, like it's a sea of blue, and it's amazing, man. Like if you can't walk on that court and see that and be motivated to play, then you don't need to be playing basketball. Like I mean, you're not playing just for yourself. You're playing for the school. You're playing for the fans. Like you're playing for so much tradition behind the program, tradition that's coming into the program. So like it's just so much love like from the fans, and I mean, they're with you. I mean, even when you win, you lose, like they're still with you. I know Kentucky basketball is used to winning, but like at the end of the day, they're still with you, and people just got to understand that and realize that like there's a lot of stuff going on, but at the end of the day, like, they still love and support the team.
Right, no question. And obviously no one likes to see their team lose. And some people that, our diehard fans are gonna have their feelings about that. And, as players, was our duty to step up and do something about it and not pout about what was being said. But hey, just shush them. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's what I say. Just shush them up. But
yeah,
you've when you got to Kentucky, I mean, obviously, under Gillespie, uh, ex- just explain kind of what it was like to just what a practice was like with Gillespie, because I kind of heard that we had some tough practices with Rick Pitino,
yeah, yeah,
and also Tubby had some tough practices, and I mean sometimes we would be drained. I've heard Gillespie's was like 10 times worse. Is that
yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Gillespie practices. It was, man. It was definitely. You had to be mentally strong to get through that stuff, and that's what he did. Like that's why he had boot camp, because literally boot camp was literally to tear you down as a player, to build you back up from the foundation up. And what I always say is like Gillespie wasn't used to getting really good players. At A&M, like he would get some good players, but they had room to grow. Like when you came to Kentucky, like you're recruiting the best players because they want to go to Kentucky. And I think he kind of brought that same philosophy, like let me tear these players down, let me rebuild them. But like I always say, like at Kentucky, you're getting stallions, you're getting Patrick Patterson. Like Patrick Patterson doesn't need to be tore down and rebuilt. Like he's a McDonald's All-American. He's gonna be a great player. Like he doesn't have to go through what these other players have gone through at other schools. But yeah, man, like some of the practices we had, I mean, some of the stuff he would say, it was a lot of a lot of mental battles you had to get through each and every day. I got kicked off the team 3 times that year. Like, and nothing. I never took any of them seriously till the last one, and he kicked me off for the third time. I think I don't even know what it was for. Like, probably just Gillespie being Gillespie, and then Patrick and Jody were like, just don't come this time. Like just don't show up. So like I showed up to practice. I think we had practice in Memorial Coliseum, and I just showed up and sat in the stands. Like I didn't even show up on the court because they were finally like just don't show up this time. I was like, man, I gotta show up. Like that's my education. Like so. I mean, it was all just like it was a mental game with him so much, and that was just the battle you had to get through each and every day. That was more drain. I mean, we did a lot of cardio and stuff too, but having the cardio and the mental, it was tough.
Yeah, no, I bet I've seen guys get kicked out of practice in my day for sure,
Yeah,
definitely. And I've never, fortunately, I've never been kicked out, but
yeah,
but I can only imagine, at Kentucky getting kicked out of practice, thinking, "Wow, my career's over."
yeah,
Is coach going to bring me back? Now I'm looking like a chump because the guys like, "Oh, you," 'cause I
man.
showed up, but you're right. I mean, that's your career. That was your future. So,
Yeah.
hey, that's classic to show up and to sit in the stands, though. That's classic. I love it. Um, what was, I know it was a tough coach, especially in practice. And, coaches are meant to be tough in some ways, especially mentally, because they want to see who's the toughest people out there. That's just my opinion, my field. That's what I started to try to understand. What was your conditioning like? Because I know our conditioning was, man, it was I felt like a horse on a racetrack. So, I'm just curious, what was that like for you guys? How was the strength, the lifting, and then the running?
I mean, Gillespie was all about, being in great shape, being physically strong. We would go to the track in the mornings, run football, run the stadium for an hour, and then we would have class, and then we go to practice. Like I think we had to. I think he had give us a test. We had to run 1 mile under 5.5 minutes. Which is that's yeah, and everybody at the same pace. Didn't matter if you're a guard or a big.
Wait,
And
all
if
of
you
y'all had to
yeah,
run under 5 minutes?
yeah.
Wow.
I I think the bigs had 5:30. I ran mine at 5:15.
You
Yeah.
got you guys got it brutal than us. Our bigs only had to come in. I think it was either 6 or 6:30 for the bigs.
Oh
I
man,
think
that
it
would have
might
been
have
a
been six
cakewalk.
for the wings, 5:30 for the guards.
And that was and man, and that was after, how you get the break after summer school, you go home for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That was the day we stepped back on campus. The day we stepped back, he said, if you don't, you gotta, if you have to do this every day until you complete it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you
And
had to actually get your time before you could move
yeah,
on.
before you can move on. I don't know who, but I know somebody had to run it like 2 or 3 times until they finally got it. I want to say it was Matt Pilgrim maybe, but yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Wow. Yeah, no, I don't miss those days, brother.
at all.
Days. Those were the days where you was definitely tested as an athlete for
Oh,
sure.
for sure. 100%.
Now, there's a few stories out there, but what is the craziest story, Gillespie story? Like, I mean, give me a road story, like on the road, after a game or something. I mean, I could relate to after a game lost on the road, coach's attitude.
Yeah. Well, everybody kind of knows about the Vandy thing, I think, where I think Patrick didn't play that game. He had like a sprained ankle or something, and Gillespie was angry because he wasn't playing. He's saying he was weak and blah 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 because he wasn't playing through a sprained ankle, and then so he was already frustrated. And then I think we were having a bad game at halftime, and I don't even know why he picked me out of the whole group, but he was like just yelling, and he's like, you know what? He's like, we're not leaving this locker room until Josh gets out of the locker room. And I'm like, what? I'm not moving. I'm like, I'm not moving. I'm like, I didn't do nothing. I was like, I'm sitting like this. I'm like, I'm not moving. He's like, we're not getting out till Josh leaves. And I'm like, he got to move me. Like he's got to move me. Like I'm done. And then Pat and Jody were like, bro, just go, just go. So like the only other room was the bathroom. So I just walked into the bathroom and stood there. And then he finished his little speech, and then we went out. I don't even know if I played in the second half. I don't remember. And then after the game, I had 8 a.m. class, so we were in Vandy. After the game, he was like, Josh, you got to ride the equipment van home. he's like, so you get back faster for your class. And I'm like, man, the bus we drove down here got beds on it. Like, what do you mean the equipment van? So I sat in the front seat of the equipment van all the way back from Vandy.
What?
Yeah.
Serious?
Yeah, Mike Stone was like, man, I don't know. He's like, I don't know what he's doing. He's like, I'm sorry. I was like, it's all right, man. Like, whatever. Let's just get back and get moving forward.
The
Man,
man, are you serious?
the equipment van.
So y'all drove the van, obviously.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
only 2.5, maybe 3 hours or so.
yeah,
And I remember because all our managers would come whenever there was a close game, and they would drive
yeah,
the van.
yeah.
Wow.
I
Wow.
rolled back with the managers.
Because you had 8 a.m. class, so he was.
That was the reason. But he wasn't happy about something.
Oh man, oh man. Well, let me ask you this: what did you know about him before you signed?
To be honest, I didn't know a whole lot. He was a great recruiter. He smoothed everybody over that was around me. Like he got real close to my mom. Um, he would talk to my high school coaches all the time. And, they kind of like everybody was really nice to him. I thought he was a great guy, which I still think he's a great guy to this day off the court. I've talked to him off the court plenty of times after he's got fired, and like I actually have a great conversation with him. Like he's a really good dude, but just on the court, he just has a very, very weird way of teaching people and coming across people. He rubs people the wrong way a lot. Yeah, but I didn't know much about him. Like, I knew I knew that he was a good coach at Texas A&M. I didn't know how he coached. I didn't know much about him, but he did a great job recruiting me, which he did a great job recruiting everybody because a lot of people went there. So, but yeah, like I said, man, it was literally like Jekyll and Hyde. Like he was great, and as soon as I signed, it was like a flip switch. As soon as I signed, he's like, "All right, it's time to work." I was like, "Dang."
Oh yeah, that's how I was.
Yeah.
I know that feeling right there, bro.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. I was like, "Whoa,
Yeah. Different person, huh?
yeah."
You signed already, bro.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Name was down. It was a wrap.
now it's time to become a man.
Yeah.
But how did you feel when he got fired?
Uh, I was a bit relieved. It was a very stressful year. For everybody. Um, we didn't make the tournament that year. But I think everybody was a little relieved that he was getting fired just because it was stressful. Like at 20 years old, you shouldn't have to be worrying about stress on top of basketball, on top of school, on top of handling all this other stuff around you. You shouldn't have to worry about the stress that comes with that type of stuff at that age.
Got you. Definitely. Hey, Kentucky's not an easy job, man.
Oh, for sure.
I can only imagine, the demands being in that seat. And, there just have been some stories about him, and I'm not, trying to pick on him. Obviously, he coached at Kentucky, coached you when you first got there. But, I just, I would hear some stories and I just never believed it. I never heard that one you just told me, but I've heard some other ones, and I gotta ask you, like, is it true that he hung out in Two Keys Tavern?
I mean, yeah, that's what I heard. I wasn't old enough to go there at the time, but I heard all that too. I wouldn't be surprised.
I just couldn't imagine, like seeing Rick Pitino or Tubby Smith in Two Keys.
Yeah,
So I mean, maybe a couple of assistant coaches every now and here, those are
yeah,
younger guys, but and probably, checking on us, but never in my life have I seen the head coach. So when I heard those stories, I just thought it was just crazy. you know, I thought it was very, very crazy. But moving
yeah.
on, you know, after Kentucky, obviously you had a great, great year. I was definitely proud to see you, excel. And I know how hard you had worked. And, you know, um, I remember seeing you guys, you and Darius, before practice, getting it in with Kenny Payne. Explain, that situation with Kenny Payne. Like, hey, I feel, I, f- I felt for you guys at that time,
Yeah.
and but I see it paid off.
Oh, 100% it paid off. I guess it was my fault. Like I sent that tweet out. Everybody knows about the tweet. So it was kind of my fault. I kind of dug myself in the hole, but I didn't give up. I kind of think in a way like how you said a little earlier, how you said coaches want to see who's the toughest. And Coach Cal gave me something that he probably thought there's no way this kid's gonna do this. He's gonna quit. Like I think that's what his mindset was. Like Josh is gonna quit. And like every single day, I mean, not many people know how hard it was. I can say how hard it was, but not many people actually saw it. It was an hour. It was an hour, and what the punishment was 30 days. It was 30 days, an hour every day conditioning. But then 30 days turned into about 100 days. But I didn't mind after the first 30 days because I started getting better. The next 30 days I started getting better. the next 30 days, I started getting even better. And then, I was like, man, this ain't punishment. This is rewarding. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm getting better every day. Like, you thought I was gonna quit? No, sir. Like, this is a new person. I'm coming out better. I'm coming out stronger, like, and that's what I did every day. I had great teammates. I had a lot of people, you too, like everybody pushing me, like, don't give up, keep going, keep going, keep going, don't do it. And I had a lot of great people around me that just helped me get through that tough time, because trust me, like, there was a lot of times in my head and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do it no more. Like, I gotta go. Like, I can't continue to be running like this. But it all paid off. And like I said, man, it turned into a reward instead of a punishment at, like, later on.
No, I get it. No, you know what, Josh? Honestly, I forgot all about the tweet.
Oh yeah. That's why it started right there.
Wow. Wow. And it definitely did pay off, because you ended
Yeah.
up going 45th in the draft. And, to see you get drafted definitely, I definitely felt proud of you and was happy for you, because you worked so hard and you made a big difference on that team. Um, and then you play in the league for a while, and now you're overseas playing in Japan now. So how is that different from playing in the NBA now you're overseas playing? Like, what's the biggest difference for you in that transition?
I would just say the biggest difference is, I'm the star now. Like, everybody's looking at me like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. Like, when I was in the league, I'm a role player. Like, I might get 20 minutes. I'm coming. If I get two shots, I got to make one of them. Like, I got to go 50%. But over here it's a little different. Like, I got to do a lot more stuff. I gotta be a leader. I gotta be a scorer. I gotta be a rebound. I gotta be a defender. Like, I got to do everything. And but I like it. I love it, man. And like, I'm the star over here. And a lot of people know who I am. A lot of people like me. This is my fifth year in Japan, my fourth year on the same team. So, I'm very well respected over here. I've made a nice name for myself over here. And, that's the biggest difference though, instead of being a role player, like, I'm the man.
Yeah, I see you shooting threes and stuff, man. But I always felt like you could shoot, because you were making threes on that team that I was on with you guys. And I'm happy for you, man. I'm glad you get to experience, being that star person on the team. It's a different feeling, ain't it?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely different. It's nice.
Definitely is, and you deserve it. I mean, you worked hard, and definitely, you know, have solidified yourself as a professional basketball athlete for sure. Um, so now you're in Japan. How much longer? How much longer you think you'll continue playing?
I'm about to be 32 this year, so let's see. This is my 10th year pro. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get another 3, 4 out of it. I got 3, 4 good years left. Like, after that, it might be, I could probably still play, but it's gonna be like, do I want to play here? Like, this is not my ideal situation, but, like, the paycheck might be good, so I might have to do that. But I got 4 good years left where I can choose where I want to go, and and kind of have that say still.
Uh-huh. I got you. Um, Now, is it just based in Japan, or do you guys travel outside of Japan to play? Or is it
No,
just
yeah,
Japan?
yeah, just based in Japan. There's 20 teams in the league, so we go all the way from the top of Japan to Okinawa Island. So, we travel a lot. But it's been great. It's a great place to be.
That's good, man. I'm happy for you. Um, it's got a couple more things. Um, Now, you went through some tough times at Kentucky as far as, the losses. As a player, just, because obviously the team this year is not doing very well. I believe the record has now fallen 4-8, and they've lost some games at home. You know how it is to lose at home. I mean, it's tough. You just don't lose at home, especially under Cal. I mean, Cal hasn't lost many home games, and they're struggling right now. Like, what advice can you give these guys as far as from a team standpoint? I mean, um, to get back on track, because if you think about the year when you guys played, when Terrence and Deron and even Ennis came in and couldn't play, and Brandon was there, you guys struggled a lot on the road, especially on the road. But that was a struggle in the beginning of the year, and then you picked it up towards the middle once we got into conference play. What can you tell these guys for them to get back on track?
Yeah,
I mean, you've been there. You've had new guys come in. You've had a new core come in. For the older guys, I guess I'm speaking towards like a Olivier and Mintz. Like, what can you tell those guys to do for these younger guys?
yeah, I believe if I'm not wrong, I think we didn't win the SEC road game until the very last game of the year, or the second to last game of the year. I think we won on the road for the first time. So we definitely know how it is to lose. So it was tough, but like being a vet, you just got to come in ready every day. Like even when I was in school 10 years ago, like Instagram wasn't around, Snapchat wasn't around, all these other social media apps weren't around. So like we didn't have a lot of people attacking us, like we couldn't see all the outlets. Like internet was there, but like all this other stuff that people are like, attacking them on, like we didn't have them issues. They gotta stay the course. Like that's all. You gotta stay the course. Like at the end of the day, like you guys are together. You guys are a brotherhood. You guys are a family. Like we all know that. We've all been there. We're all still a family. Anybody that's ever been in the blue is still a family. We might not be in that situation with them, but we feel it because we've all been there. But they just got to stay together, stay the course, and these older guys, they just got to continue to lead by example. If it's getting extra work and if it's getting extra shots, if it's if it's hey, I'm getting on this court and I'm gonna pressure this dude 94 feet. Like you guys just lead by example because that energy will trickle down. And that work ethic will trickle down. Like for instance, like when I was doing my cardio and I was working hard every day, Darius didn't have to do it with me. DeAndre didn't have to do it with me. Terrence didn't have to do it with me. But these guys came in because they saw how hard I was working. They wanted to be a part of that. Like they didn't do it every day with me, but they were there some days, and it helped me get through those days. And it's just like that. Like I stayed the course and they saw that and the energy just trickled down. And that's why we became successful towards the end of the season because everybody was on the same page. We were all on the same board. Like everybody was on the same ship and we were going forward. It wasn't nobody looking back, wasn't nobody sitting in the back. We were all on the same line. We were all next to each other, walking arm in arm. And that's what these guys got to do. They just got to continue to stay together, support each other because I know it's tough. I see the stuff people say. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Facebook, and I know it's not easy for them, especially young men. I mean, they're 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. Like, that's not stuff they deserve right now. Like, I understand how Kentucky basketball is, but at the end of the day, it's not life or death. Like, these kids got a future. They all, a lot of great players. They just got to understand that they got to get back to that root of being a great player and understanding, hey, you're a good player. Like you were brought here for this reason. Like, don't worry about all this stuff that's on the outside, this outside media, all these people saying this, people saying that. Like, no, let's stay together and let's get through this.
No, I totally agree, bro. And that's just the bottom line. The only people that are, gonna, make it happen are those people that's, in the room on that team, the whole
Exactly.
staff, managers, strength and condition, coach, everyone who's involved in that program. Those are the people you need to just surround yourself with and block out the media. I solely believe, that's the root of, your downfall when you start paying attention to what people are saying in that social media. But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on, bro. I'm not gonna hold you too long. It's definitely great to see you, man. I'm proud of you. Definitely proud of your success, making it in the NBA and now playing in Japan. I definitely know what it feels like to be overseas. It's like a home away from home.
For sure.
But you definitely find your niche and you live life and you're doing it, man. And you've beaten all the odds for sure. I don't think anybody expected Josh Harrelson to have the stellar career that he's had and that big old smile. I mean, how could the TV miss that? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And I just appreciate you coming on the show, bro.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I appreciate you. You reaching out and getting in touch, and man, I love you, and I love being able to see you again, man. It's been a while, so let's stay in touch for sure.
Definitely. And everybody that's tuned in, I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure tap in that link and follow my guy Josh in Japan. He's over there. He's the star. He's the man now. But keep supporting the Burner Turner Show. If you don't know where to find it, you can find it on Apple Podcasts. You can go on Google Podcasts and just subscribe and listen in. Thank you.